Finance meeting to order. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to topic for discussion and approval. P Corp and Travelers Insurance. Holly?
So the county's property and liability insurance is up for renewal effective 7/1/2018, and we have two viable proposals before us, one from P Corp and one from Travelers. So we've worked with Brian Mark from the Christian Baker Company as our broker to review both of those proposals, and then we have both P Corp and Travelers here to provide a brief presentation on the proposal that they have set forward to the county. Any questions about how we got to this point thus far?
Is it Christian Baker Company that brought these
Christian Baker,
proposals?
yes, they are our broker, and they brought both proposals,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What is your name?
Brian Warner,
Brian.
Christian Baker Company.
Okay, Brian Warner.
Do you have his business card?
Here. Okay, sorry.
So there's no additional questions. We'll go ahead and have P Corp present their proposal first.
All right, good afternoon.
You can come up here to the table if you'd like.
Okay. Good afternoon. We're from the County Commissioners Association that sponsors the Pennsylvania County Risk Pool, which is a self-insurance pool for Pennsylvania County. And along with me, I'm Karen Cohen. I'm the Insurance and Reinsurance Manager. At the end here is Andrew Smith. He's a risk control specialist. And Patty Ensbinger is a claims supervisor, in case any questions come up about claims. P Corp has been around now for over 35 years. We were formed in the 1980s when public entities were having a hard time finding insurance, and we got together and formed this self-insurance pool. Right now, of Pennsylvania's 67 counties, there's 53 counties right now that participate in our program. We are very proud of it. Our coverages are tailored to counties only. We meet once a year to go over our coverage document to see if there's any issues that need to be amended. We are closely tied to our legislative people who are always over at the Capitol and actually advocating for legislation for counties. So we usually find out firsthand what's going on and what might need some insurance coverage adjustments. We have a claims philosophy, is that if we owe it, we pay it. Our claims department is in-house, right? We're all in the same building. We can go back and forth between underwriting and claims if any issues come up. I don't know if you wanted to say anything more about the claims. I want to see if there's any questions. I'm not sure if that's an issue. At the end, if you want to ask any questions, just please go ahead. And Andrew Smith is our risk control specialist, and he's going to talk about some of the advantages that our program has that we feel you can't really find in the standard market.
Thank you, Karen. In this packet I provided you, probably the most important piece in all of this is our 3 business cards. P Corp prides itself on our customer service, and our customer service is second to none when it comes to servicing our county membership. So if anything you need while, after this meeting, years down the road or months down the road, certainly give us a call. We will certainly be able to give you any information you need. But like Karen said, we have a lot of value-added services that other companies just do not provide. And I'd like to touch base on some of those now. Probably our biggest one that our membership takes the full advantage of is our grant program. And P Corp, our board has allowed $20,000 for each member to apply for grant funds for safety projects. And in your left-hand side of your packet there, I have provided P Corp projects that have been approved from 2014 when we started the program, the grant program, and to 2018 to current. And there is a list of projects in there, everything in between from purchasing tasers for a sheriff's department to updating sidewalks, and like I said, everything in between that you can think of. again, it is a very comprehensive list, and we have only disapproved probably a handful of grant applications in the 4 years that we have done this. So this is one of the parts of our program that we're very proud of. Again, this is a good funds. We understand that these are small peanuts to counties such as Cumberland, but we have some smaller counties that don't have budgets for safety improvements to upgrade stairwells and railings and stuff like that. So this is really a nice portion, a nice program to have in this P Corp program. Like I said, small peanuts to maybe Cumberland County, but again, certainly some grant funds that can be used for improvements around the county, not just the courthouse here, but any county buildings. You have prisons, courthouses. It can certainly be used for the nursing home if we deemed it necessary as well. To continue on, we do have a glimpse manual in that left-hand side of that packet too. This provides information about all our risk management training. So as a part of P Corp, you would be able to send as many employees as you want free of charge to our P Corp risk management trainings. And again, they are anything from safety workshops to defensive driving courses, and anything you guys can certainly think of. A lot of our topics come from county employees, folks that give us recommendations on what we should be providing to our membership. And a lot of that, all of that, excuse me, for the spring is detailed in there. We are currently working on our fall workshop. We just had our meeting where we come up with all our risk management topics, and we've come up with a lot of good ones regarding medical marijuana, because that is a hot issue right now. Opioid epidemics, bloodborne pathogens, and like I said, an array of topics that will be introduced in the fall when we are finished with that document. The two pamphlets, I'm sorry, sir, go ahead.
You get these through the mail already?
Yes, sir, yes you do, yeah. And you will continue to get those too until you tell us to stop. That's certainly, not a problem.
Needs a bigger photo of John Sack.
Or a better angle, either one of the two, right? The two other pamphlets in there, I'm certainly not going to review. They're just broad overviews of our P Corp program. They are both new pamphlets that our marketing departments have worked on, and the other one is just kind of a pamphlet that gives you an overview of County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania. Because we have such a long array of topics and arms in county government, we do so much through CCAP that some individuals just have no idea where we even start to begin, all this work. So that gives a good snapshot of what CCAP can provide to counties. So again, on the right-hand side, I have an agenda here, and then I'll certainly get into what our value-added sort of resources are. But if you turn to this one-page flyer here, it's the back and front on this one here. These are the safety resources that, again, we provide that we don't believe other insurance carriers do. These are our value-added services that you would get free of charge as a member of P Corp. Again, all of our county memberships take advantage of these services. We have consulting services. For example, a risk manager or risk control specialist can attend one or all of your safety meetings. I, for example, can come out and test your floors, your lights, your sound meter. I can bring my sound meter out. We could do trainings, sexual harassment, anything in between. You guys need it, we will provide it for you. That is, again, what we are known for. Our customer service is second to none, and we will certainly be out and about in this county if you'd like us to be. We have risk management training opportunities, so you can certainly be sending employees off-site to those. Our big online safety training through local GovU, so we understand how hard it is for some counties to send employees out 8 hours during the day. So we've implemented a program in 2014. It's an online training program that we have seen massive growth since we've implemented in 2014. The last numbers I saw where we have over 47 counties that take advantage of this local GovU program, and we have trained tens of thousands of employees throughout the state of Pennsylvania. Anything from chainsaw safety to sexual harassment and everything in between. I certainly don't limit the topics because, hey, say a tree falls down in your backyard and you have no idea how to work a chainsaw, you just rent it from so-and-so store. This is certainly an advantage you can take advantage of, excuse me. We have a video lending library, but that is certainly not as big as our online training through local GovU, but we certainly do have DVDs that you can take advantage of as well, safety-related DVDs. I reviewed the grant program as well. We have a wellness nurse, but that is more towards our PCOM program, which is our workers' comp program, so please disregard that portion. We have certainly safety websites on our CCAP website that you can take advantage of as well. We have a fraud hotline as well that P Corp members take advantage of free of charge. If you have employees that see any embezzlement, we get everything from stealing out of the cafeteria to actual embezzlement claims. And This is a fraud hotline that employees can use 24/7. It's anonymous and certainly free to advantage to your members and your county employees. We have the listserv. Our risk control listserv is just a platform that you can use to pick the brains of other county governments. You want to know what someone does on the western side of the state, or you have a policy, a like policy, we can certainly take those policies and you guys can adopt them as your own and vice versa. Any questions, concerns you have, that's what the risk management listserv is for. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. And lastly, the value-added services, we have elevator inspections, so P Corp members get their elevators inspected free of charge by National Elevator Inspection Services. We do property and boiler inspections conducted by travelers that will come out and appraise your property and your boilers. We do appraisal of buildings, property, and fine arts through industrial appraisal, so we'll come out and make sure all of your buildings are quoted accurately, and any up-to-date buildings, any buildings you've added since then, we've certainly put those on there as well, so that we're making sure that we insure all the property and equipment that you guys have. We have an e-risk hub. This e-risk hub is our cyber risk management portal. This is something we dug into the last few years because obviously cyber risk management is a hot topic right now. This provides a breach coach to each and every one of your employees if you guys would have a breach of cybersecurity. It actually has cost calculators so that you can proactively identify how much your cybersecurity information will be worth, whether it be a ransom issue or someone hacked the Cumberland County itself. You can actually put in how much personal identifiable information you guys have on site and figure out the dollar figure of what it could potentially cost the county to reimburse any cybersecurity claims that you guys might have. It's a really good tool that a lot of our counties take advantage of. We do a prison risk management review, an HR review as well. We just revamped those this year again because, again, at the request of our membership. And again, like I said, our customer service is second to none because if you guys say it, we will do it. So we have publications that we give out as well as members. And we have a Watch Your Step campaign. If you've ever been in any other county courthouses and you've seen the nice dog posters and puppy posters that tell you to watch your step, those are all our campaign that we do through risk management as well to keep claims down because I'm sure, as you guys know, slip, trips, and falls is the #1 claim. So, and that is a really brief snapshot. I know I've poured a lot of information on you. On the right-hand side of that pamphlet I gave you, again, it's just kind of a breakdown of more information of what I just spoke about. Member visits, the the elevator inspection information, the risk control incentive program. This is one I'd like to speak of a little more in depth, if you will. The risk control incentive program is available for each P Corp member, and this saves you credits. This saves you money on your premium for doing risk management techniques and tools. So, having a safety committee, you get a 5% credit. An IT disaster recovery program, again, along those cybersecurity lines, you get a 5% credit. Education and training, you send employees out, you have us come on site and give sexual harassment training to all employees, you will get a 5% credit. Having a sexual harassment policy in place, 5% credit. Prison policy review as well. Promptly reporting claims. Again, promptly reporting claims helps our claims administration highly. We recommend that they are reported within 48 hours, and if you do that, which a lot of our members do, you get a 5% credit. A vehicle safety program, because we understand that that is one of the biggest pieces of equipment that you in the counties have is vehicles. So you would of course get a 5% credit there. And the internal financial controls receives 5%. We also have a risk manager credit. If you have a full-time risk manager on staff, we'll give you 5% off your premium just for having that individual there. A lot of counties, especially the big ones, will see a 5% credit actually save them money as a salary right then and there. So that you could essentially have someone's salary in that 5% credit depending on what the premium would be for the county. And then if it would be a half-time position, for example, we have one county commissioner who is their half-time risk manager. And he is half-time county commissioner, well, full-time county commissioner, half-time risk manager as well. And they receive 2.5% credit off their premium for having that risk control specialist there. And again, I've attached information regarding the grant program and the application. I've worked in county government and local government, and I've seen grant applications that are hundreds of pages. Ours is 4 simple questions. We want to know what it's for, why you need it, is it going to impact the residents, is it going to impact county employees, And how is this going to be a risk management deterrent so that you guys can save some money and reduce claims? That's probably the easiest grant application I've ever seen, I've ever come across. And we have a very stringent review process as well. We'll actually come out on site to make sure you're using that grant money accordingly as to what you had given the information us for. We just don't want that, money going into your general account or anything. We want to make sure if you want AED machines, you're putting AED machines in each one of your buildings. Lastly, the boiler inspection information is there as well, the fraud hotline information. And again, if you have anything, like I said when I started, the 3 most important documents you have are those business cards there. And certainly give us a ring, email anytime. We will be here. We'll be here in person. We'll be in conference call. Anything you'd like, we will do it for you. Patty, do you have anything on claims?
We did provide you with in that packet as well, the claims philosophy for P Corp, and as well as the procedures. And as Karen said, if we owe it, we pay it. If not, we're going to defend it. I'll pay a defense attorney a lot more than just to pay someone to go away. So, if you have any questions on the claims process.
I just want to add, on that $20,000 grant program, it's available at any time during the policy year, and it doesn't have to be for one project. You can split it up into any number of projects. It's just the limit that we'll give out is $20,000 per policy year.
Good point, Karen.
I also wanted to indicate that our limits of liability are $5 million per member per occurrence. We do have what they call clash coverage in case there's an occurrence where multiple counties are involved. Each county would still be entitled to the $5 million per occurrence. It's not a pool limit. It's not split up among all the members of the pool. That's a per member limit that applies to each liability coverage. It will be general liability, law enforcement liability. We have the auto liability, the cyber liability, and our crime is at $1 million. That's at $1 million limit. We've had a lot of interest in cyber education, and as Andrew said, if there's any topic that would be of interest to the county, we can actually come and do seminars. We're going to be doing one for, actually Greene County just joined us in June 1st, and they'd asked for a cyber seminar, and we're going to be going in and doing that. There's just a lot of, I think, advantages there with the limits as well as having everything in-house. I don't know if there's any specific questions on what we have. Every year, I might have mentioned this before, but every year in December we get together with reinsurers as well as our broker, who is Willis Pooling, and we go over this coverage document, which is, I think, up to 80 pages now, and review it and see if there's any changes that need to be made. Sometimes the changes are significant, sometimes they're just to clarify the coverage. This year's policy didn't change that much. We clarified some coverages, and sometimes we base that on what questions we get from counties. A lot of times I was getting questions from the counties about, oh, are interns covered under the policy? And yes, they are, but it wasn't specifically stated. So what we did is change our definition of covered party to include interns, paid or unpaid, so people would know where to look and know that that definitely is a coverage. We also had a question from one of the agents that caused a change. He said, wait a minute, I don't see any racing exclusion for county vehicles. Okay, so we added an exclusion for any county vehicles used in racing. So just the things like that come up. A lot of times, and most of the time, we get those ideas from our counties or from their agents. So it's a good communication stream that we have, and as I said before, with our legislative people that are always over at the Capitol, we usually get first light of anything that might be coming up.
It's an ever-changing document.
It is an ever-changing document. So I didn't know if there were any questions or anything that you'd like to know.
Not at this moment, no.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
sector. And the first thing I would like to say is thank you very much for the 35 years plus relationship that we've had with the county. Although neither Brian nor I are old enough to go back that far, we've checked the records and the relationship has gone back at least that far. And before I go into a few advantages of the Travelers Program, is there anything specific that you have concerns or thoughts on today that you want me to address? Just a few comments about the Travelers Program. We are the largest writer of public sector business in the country. We write about $1 billion. We write about $30 million in Pennsylvania. A key to doing business with Travelers is the relationship we have with the independent agent, which in this case is Brian Christian Baker. It's very important to us. It's very important to folks like Holly who work with the insurance program to have the agent involved and have your best interests at heart. Travelers has a financial AM Best rating of A++. That differs from pools, which are not rated by AM Best. We also have our own limits. When you have a policy with Travelers, you do not share the aggregate limits as you would with a pool. Travelers has no assessments, so if there were a bad year of losses and premiums would come up short to pay claims, we do not assess your program as a pool does. You have the option to come to Travelers or to leave at Travelers at any time without any strings. For example, with the P Corps arrangement, as I understand it, once you make a commitment, you're bound there for 3 years. If you leave early, you get a 50% penalty of your premium. You're required to give a 120-day notice if you even want to shop to get out of insurance. So those are some things you need to think about as far as being held almost hostage in a program such as that. You do have the option to leave Travelers with each expiration date, and the fact that we write our general liability and our auto coverage on an occurrence form, that's basically the industry standard form, and you can leave without having to purchase an extended reporting period, so you don't have back-end payments that you would have to pay to get out of a program either. Basically, we negotiate the premium each year. There are not any bylaws with Travelers for the county to sign. You will be given an annual contractual policy, an annual contractual agreement. That policy cannot change or be amended throughout the year with the exception of the liberalization clause. And what that means is if we would bring about coverage that's more liberal than what you currently have on your policy, you would be able to receive that coverage, but as opposed to the bylaws with P Corps, which can be changed in 30 days, which can tell you that your coverage can actually be reduced during the policy period. Our risk control department is an industry leader. We have a risk control portal. Holly and some of the staff are familiar with that. They have access to the portal. Pretty much anything that you can think of from a risk control perspective is on there for all lines of insurance. The fact that the county is self-insured for workers' comp, you still have access to all of our work comp resources on the risk control portal as well, even though that's not a line of coverage that we insure for the county. You also have an assigned risk control representative who is public sector specific. He is out of the Pittsburgh office. You have assigned claims personnel. We have a claim account executive assigned to the county who provides, basically that person is your claims liaison with the county. You may have a different adjuster handling a property claim versus an auto claim, that sort of situation, but you do have one go-to person for claims of Travelers. In addition to the agency doing quarterly claim reviews, we can kind of add to that with an annual claim review and coordinate that with the agency. some of the other things that we have from a risk control standpoint, we have a number of alliances that you may have already been taking advantage of. We have alliances with businesses that do background checks so that you can get a reduced fee for that. We have an alliance with Symantec, which is the leader in cybersecurity. And they can actually, since you're a cyber customer, they actually provide pre-breach cyber services so that they can help the county before there is a breach or a cyber event. Trying to think if there's anything else. I know the fact that you've been a customer for 35 years, there's a lot of familiarity, so I don't really want to go into a lot of repetitive information, but is there anything specific about your current program or anything that I've spoken about today that you have questions?
Questions?
Thank you.
I believe you've been given, you have probably both proposals there, as well as additional information was provided to you ahead of time, internal reviews from staff within the county, and feedback from those aspects. Do you have any questions for internally or further, or?
The current program we have, you could indicate it as a fully insured program. The P Corp is not self-funded, like health insurance. We have greater risk with P Corp, however, we could get dividends in return for, I assume, a good year. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Okay. In a bad year, we would have an option to pay, or would we carry over, or is that absorbed into the pool, or is that covered on the stop loss?
Well, for last 6 years, they have paid a dividend, so they do that on a regular basis. There have been years, and they can probably tell you how much, how many, where you actually had to pay in.
That was prior to the P Corp Loss Fund being created.
Okay?
So we have a substantial amount of money.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. I forwarded a copy of our financials, and I think they reviewed, we're in a financial position now that will never happen again. I can't see it would be a bad day on earth if that had to happen.
I've been there 15 years, I believe that was about 10 years ago, when that occurred.
And we totally changed our financial strategy with creating that loss fund. And as far as the 3-year commitment goes, we've never had a problem with that. And I want to say, if it ever came up, you know, they say that there's that penalty, that's what it says in the bylaws, but we've just never had it come up. So I'm not sure how the situation would be.
Could you explain that? In other words, counties have not left within a 3-year period, is that what you're saying?
Correct. We've never had that happen. And we've only ever had 2 counties leave, and one of them's come back in our 37-year history.
54 counties out of the 67 are now in your program.
Yes, correct.
And we have 5 county-related entities.
that are involved too. Some of the counties that we don't have, we probably wouldn't want, is that some of the larger Philadelphia, Allegheny, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia areas, we probably wouldn't. And I know that, Allegheny's self-insured for even property, so a lot of those bigger counties we wouldn't go after.
We do have Westmoreland, Erie, Berks, Chester.
I'm sorry, say that.
We have Westmoreland, Erie, Berks, and Chester. Those
Chester
are
is
larger.
yours?
Yes.
Okay. How recent has that been?
Chester joined in 2015.
Yes.
Yes.
Prior to that, we had at one time a large county program that would just be for large counties, and it would be a one policy, one county. But we discontinued that program, and the larger counties that were in it, such as Berks and Chester, came over to P Corp after that.
So if Philadelphia were interested, P Corp would not necessarily provide a proposal, is that what you're saying?
We would probably give a proposal, I'm not sure we'd be competitive for, it seems like the counties that are self-insured do really well because they have the assets and they have the financial managers to handle that. So a lot of times, it's better for them to be self-insured.
Are any of our surrounding counties in the program?
Perry County?
Yale, Dolphin, York, Perry, Adams, Franklin.
Adams, Perry.
Adams, Franklin, Perry.
The back of the Peace Corps proposal, about 8-10 pages from the
That's
back,
all.
has a map.
And the CIP needs updated since you said three counties.
Yes, they did.
You have a solid block out there that.
Yeah.
Page 114.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So Lancaster, York, Cumberland, Baldwin, Northumberland.
I knew generally where it was.
Well, it's a lot of really good territory.
Yes.
Explain the dividends again, if you would, please, in terms of, what comes back and when it comes back and.
The dividends are determined by our actuary based on loss experience of the county and what it would be as a percentage of what your loss fund was paid in. Now, as a new county, it might take 2 or 3 years for that cycle to come around where you'd be eligible for a dividend. We've had some as high as nearly $200,000 for a dividend, and then we've had some lower ones of $45. We have a traveling library that's very small in the program.
I don't have any other questions.
Does the staff have a recommendation?
I emailed my recommendation to the board last week.
I must have missed that.
That is nice.
I apologize.
It's fairly thorough. I want to look at it again.
Yeah,
Okay. We need to make a decision by when?
today. Yeah, the policy expires on June 30th. This is, getting too close. We did start this process of the applications for both programs in March of this year, which is standard. And so it's not unusual that we come down to make a decision in a short time. This is the first time that I'm aware of that we've had competitive quotes from 2 programs. So that's why it's a little bit unique in how this is coming about today. Typically it comes before a workshop meeting with a new policy.
Does our chief clerk have a recommendation?
Yes, if I'm tracking correctly, I believe that HR's recommendation was to continue with Travelers, and I concur with that recommendation. While I think that CCAP offers some additional services, there is the long relationship and there is the steadiness. So while there are some rebates, there is some exposure to fluctuating premiums throughout the year, correct?
That is correct. And I do think it's worth, considering and reevaluate as we have, continue to look at P Corp in the future. I think it was every 3 years or so.
That's the county's policy, yes.
And additionally, and I think the price quote, another one was distributed today that, there's a $7,000 difference,
Correct.
approximately.
When was that sent out? The one I have, the price is greater than that.
I believe the one with the business card on it was handed out and revised. Am I reading that correctly?
You got it.
And while in no way looking to discount the presentation of CCAP and the P Corp presentation, I would also just note that there, although Holly and I have not discussed this, I would think there's some disruption with implementing a new program. And we have a lot going on.
There's that, and I think from a finance, Dina's here, from a finance perspective, moving from the internal accounting perspective, it changes things that have to be done, how things are done in your office as well.
The travelers at least.
I was looking at the premium cost here, and it said, if I was looking at this correctly, for P4, it was either 451,000 or 490,000. It's now changed, is that?
No, it's not changed. And it's, the traveler's quote includes 70,000 in commission, while the other quote is 70,000 in a fee. So the broker fee is the same in either case. The P Corp quote is without any fee, while on the sheet you're looking at, it includes an equal fee for both entities.
Those are the services that Christian Baker provides to us as far as helping us manage our claims, quarterly reviews, and those things, with both, with either policy.
It was this mean travelers reduced their commission to equal the 70,000 brokerage fee.
Their commission was actually higher in the past. We agreed with the lower price to make them equal, so when you're comparing, the fee doesn't come into play. It's a wash. And so you're truly looking at what each company can provide, what they offer you, what they're totally about.
So the staff recommendation certainly does not preclude considering P Corp next year or any year.
The initial costs between the two programs, Holly, including reinsurance and stuff, is $7,000 approximately.
The difference, yeah, about 7,000.
P Corp were locked in for 3 years.
Correct.
However, we have the opportunity to be rewarded within a year, early on with travelers. Dana, it's a big deal to, I wouldn't say a big deal, work to get this transferred if you do that.
So I have not looked into what it would mean to us financially, but it could be a change in accounting practice.
And my preference to that was when we switched from fully insured to self-insured for the medical insurance, and then it was the self-insurance pool. This is a significant change. We're still working out all of the details accounting-wise, how that looks. So that was the point of reference and the discussion that Dina and I have had.
That we do for a fact that we can save money,
Correct.
a substantial amount of money.
And we evaluated that for a period of 5 years, I would say, prior to making the change.
Now, and you've also mentioned, I mean, some of these we would not necessarily be able to quantify right down to. We mentioned about the familiarity with travelers in terms of claims processing and just your attorney representation, internal accounting. And those all sound very relevant to me. We can, to some degree, we can quantify what a change would be, but there are some things that would be very difficult to quantify as well. So,
Jolie, please correct me if I'm wrong, we've had no issues with our current vendor travelers. I have no further questions. Anybody have any?
I just have one follow-up, and I know that there was some difficulty in, not this year, I guess, but the previous year in terms of P Corp being able to get the correct information to provide a proposal to us. I'm assuming now that was cleared up and taken care of.
Correct, yeah, that was perfect.
All right. I do think that P Corp is an option that we should consider in the future. If we continue with travelers, at least this year, would P Corp be willing to submit a proposal for the following year?
Yes, I assume. I say I assume because the board has to approve every proposal that comes up.
And let me ask with that, I'd ask in front of the commissioners and of Ms. Sherman that we might be able to look at engaging this further upstream next year to learn, is there any disruption of moving over? Would it be a change in practice that's significant? As well as, how competitive Travelers is now, or could they even be more competitive?
I think that's a good observation, because, I mean, if we're gonna ask for bids in the future, we wanna make sure that there's being seriously considered. It's considerable effort expense on your part just to submit this as well, I'm sure. So, but I did note in the Deputy Controller Clapsaddle's summary that he did mention some of the structural differences that exist with the pool as well. So perhaps at some point, before we would decide to re-engage proposal process, we may want to have some discussion among ourselves as to whether any of those are showstoppers for us philosophically, if any of those are problems that would simply preclude fair consideration of a proposal in the future. So, but that would obviously something we would schedule well in advance as well. So more lead time would definitely be a good idea.
Karen, I'm familiar with the program, not as familiar as I used to be years ago. There was a big kind of self-funded risk pool put together for townships and boroughs. And I think it was administered by an outfit called Benetcon.
That's correct.
And when they do their proposals to future prospects, they would list all the municipalities and how they did, whether they got a refund, whether they would be able to provide that.
Sure.
Legally, without
Sure.
that might help.
Okay.
But I think I'm still interested in this. What I hear my colleagues are saying, and I agree with them for now, anyway. But
Yeah,
I think it's still, we were fully insured for a long time for our health insurance, and our protocol is crazy not to go self-funded. And that's the right choice that we made.
Yeah, that's
For that.
And the key there was the time was right
Yeah.
to do that. So and these big changes. So I would hope we would try this again in the future.
Yeah.
And any of these issues that may raise questions, we have time now to also get answers to those regarding the structural differences. So, so you need action on this today?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll extend my thanks to both parties for being involved in this, but I will make a motion that we select Travelers for continuation of the policy.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further questions or comments on
I
that?
just want to say is, my inclination coming to this meeting today would be to support a change, because every once in a while, I think it's good to shake things up. Nobody should have any sweetheart deals. And what I was particularly concerned about a couple of years ago was P Corp's inability to get the information it needed to give us a proposal. Glad that you were able to get the information you needed to give us a proposal today. And certainly I would be open to considering P Corp in the future.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any other business? Nice. Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you for
time.
your
Thank you.
thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you.